The rain pounded on the empty streets, a relentless curtain of water that blurred the edges of a night already steeped in mystery. In a narrow alley illuminated only by flickering streetlights, a lone figure in a mask moved with unsettling calm. This individual methodically placed an object at a crime scene, each measured action hinting at a purpose that went far beyond a simple act of vandalism. As the scene unfolded, a voice, calm yet weighted with foreknowledge, reminded us, "I knew this case was a setup from the start." In that moment, the evidence spoke for itself. A ledger stained with blood lay discarded beside a half-burned photograph that captured a fleeting, forbidden embrace, a hint of a relationship shrouded in secrecy. Each clue was a piece of a puzzle, drawing us into a narrative that promised more questions than answers. Today, we begin our investigation into a case that would come to haunt a community, a case where every detail mattered and every secret had its price. At the center of this unfolding drama stands a detective, marked by both determination and personal regret. His career, filled with relentless pursuit of the truth, is now tangled with the weight of his own past mistakes. He walks a narrow line between duty and personal torment, a balance that has shaped his every decision. Then there is the family, a picture of normality on the surface, yet beneath lies a hidden tension that no one could have foreseen. The wife, whose hidden affair with a stepson has sparked rumors and hushed whispers, remains an enigma. Her double life, carefully concealed behind a facade of everyday concerns, hints at a betrayal so profound that it challenges our understanding of loyalty and trust. The layers of secrets within this family create a fragile facade, one that is on the verge of shattering. Our story today is not just about a crime, it is about the relentless search for truth amidst a web of deceit. It is about a man who sees reflections of his own past in every piece of evidence he uncovers, and about a family whose hidden truths have come back to demand reckoning. The evidence, though carefully arranged to mislead, carries the weight of reality, a reality that is both shocking and deeply human. As we piece together the fragments of that fateful night, our focus shifts to the details that seem insignificant but speak volumes. The cold, damp air, the stray droplets clinging to a discarded cufflink, and the almost imperceptible scent of betrayal in the night all work together to tell a story that is as much about the victims as it is about the pursuit of justice. We are reminded that every act, no matter how small, has consequences that echo far beyond the immediate moment. In the quiet moments between the relentless rain and the clamor of suspicion, the detective's inner voice emerges. His reflections, shared with a mix of raw honesty in the burden of his own past, invite us to question the nature of truth. Every clue, he confides, is a reminder of choices made and paths not taken. His words, though soft, resonate with the weight of experience, a reminder that in the pursuit of justice, personal history is never far behind. As the investigation deepens, our attention is drawn to the subtle hints of a larger narrative hidden beneath the surface. Conversations overheard in hushed tones, a lingering look between two individuals at a family gathering, and the unexpected appearance of personal items in places they should never have been, all serve as quiet reminders that nothing in this case is as it seems. The familiar becomes unfamiliar, and the truth is masked by layers of half-truths and well-placed diversions. In this documentary account, we respect the memory of those affected by this tragedy. While our goal is to uncover the facts and present a narrative that honors the reality of what occurred, we do so with a deep awareness of the impact on those left behind. This is not merely a story for shock value, it is an exploration of the human condition, the choices we make, and the hidden costs of deception. As the night wears on and the rain shows no sign of relenting, we come to a turning point. In a moment that seems both inevitable and unfathomable, the detective finds himself staring at a single, stark image, a black rose. It lies in the center of a room filled with remnants of the past, a symbol that echoes the dark corners of this case. At that very moment, his phone vibrates with an anonymous message. The screen lights up with a single chilling statement, "Some secrets never die." That message, brief and unyielding, carries with it the promise of more revelations yet to come. It is a final, unresolved question that leaves us wondering about the true nature of the events that have brought us here. In the quiet that follows, as the rain continues its unending rhythm, we are left with a profound sense of unease, a reminder that behind every closed door, a story waits to be told. Today marks the beginning of an investigation that will force us to confront uncomfortable truths and question the very foundation of trust. It is a journey into a world where every shadow hides a secret, and every silence speaks louder than words. Join us as we unravel the threads of this complex tapestry, mindful of the lives affected and the deep wounds left behind. The search for truth has only just begun, and as we proceed, one thing is clear: nothing will ever be the same again. The investigation takes a sharp turn as our detective steps into the heart of the family home. The atmosphere is thick with guarded words and half-spoken truths. In a hushed tone, the quiet husband offers a single sentence when asked about his wife's secret: "There are things better left unsaid." His response leaves more questions than answers. Each interview reveals subtle hints of a life hidden behind the ordinary. A close friend of the family admits, "I once overheard her on the phone, whispering about someone who meant everything to her." That single statement casts doubt on the familiar facade of trust. At the same time, a neighbor, known for his troubled past, hints at odd late-night comings and goings, his eyes never quite meeting the detective's. The weight of his silence speaks volumes. Amid the questioning, flashes of the past surface. In brief recollections, the wife is seen exchanging meaningful looks with her stepson, glances that suggest an unspoken connection, a bond that challenges the expected order of things. The brief exchanges are laced with tension, hinting at a shared secret that could unravel the family completely. One overheard remark during a heated conversation lingers: "Sometimes, love and fear are two sides of the same coin." Yet, not every detail aligns. The resentful in turn, whose temper seems to hide his own story, offers conflicting clues. His words, quick and evasive, suggest that he might be holding back information, perhaps to protect someone, or himself. With each conversation, the web of deceit grows more tangled, and the hints of a hidden double life become harder to ignore. In the midst of these revelations, a personal diary emerges as a key piece of evidence. Its pages, filled with terse notes and raw emotions, promise to unlock the truth behind the wife's secret. The diary was meant to be the cornerstone of the investigation, a direct link to understanding her hidden world. But as the detective returns to the crime scene, the diary is nowhere to be found. In a matter of moments, the evidence vanishes without explanation. A countdown begins in the detective's mind. With less than a day before another lead is due to surface, the missing diary becomes the most pressing mystery. Its disappearance raises a chilling question: who would go to such lengths to remove a piece of evidence that could shatter the delicate balance of a troubled family? The unanswered question hovers, leaving an open loop that demands resolution. Every minute now is critical, and every word spoken becomes part of a larger, dangerous puzzle. With the diary gone, the truth is left hanging in the air. The investigation has opened new wounds, and each new revelation brings us closer to the heart of a mystery that refuses to be ignored. The stakes are higher than ever, and as we wait for the next twist, one thought remains clear: someone is determined to keep this secret buried. The detective sat alone in a dimly lit room, memories intruding on every thought. In quiet flashbacks, the wife emerged, not as the caring partner she pretended to be, but as a woman entangled in a secret connection with her stepson. In hushed recollections, she murmured, "Sometimes the heart chooses a path that no one else can understand." Those moments, filled with covert meetings and fleeting touches, painted a picture of a hidden life that defied every expectation. At the same time, the troubled past of the stepson came into focus. Raised amid neglect and whispers of abandonment, his actions now carried the weight of years spent battling inner demons. "I was always alone," he once confessed in a rare moment of vulnerability, his voice barely audible over the chaos of his life. This admission, raw and unguarded, hinted at reasons that went far beyond simple rebellion. As the investigation deepened, a new figure began to emerge from the shadows, a man with a personal vendetta. Known only through fragments of overheard conversations, he challenged the detective with a cold statement: "Some debts must be repaid, and I intend to see it done." His presence, uninvited yet forceful, intersected with every hidden secret in the case, leaving a trail of unanswered questions. The black rose, a symbol that had haunted the investigation from the start, appeared once more. It lay on a windowsill, its dark petals stark against the fading light, a reminder that some marks never fade. Every instance of its appearance tightened the threads of mystery, urging the detective to connect the dots before time ran out. During an interview with one of the wife's closest associates, a person who had always been protective yet conflicted, the conversation took an unexpected turn. She was not the villain they made her out to be, the associate said firmly, hinting at sacrifices made in the name of love. Before more could be said, the phone rang sharply. Hesitating, the associate answered in a low, threatening voice cut through the tension: "Stop digging, or you'll regret it." The call ended abruptly, leaving more questions than answers and forcing everyone to reconsider who was really on their side. A countdown began in the detective's mind as he reviewed every detail of the case. Each second felt precious, with the weight of the next revelation pressing in like an unseen force. The new threat, the unresolved past, and the mysterious symbol of the black rose converged to form an open loop that demanded closure. Who was behind that chilling warning? And what dark motive lay hidden in the shadows of this family's tragic story? This documentary-style investigation follows a trail of concealed truths and unexpected twists, respecting the memory of those affected while striving to uncover the hidden facts. Any resemblance to real events is entirely coincidental. As the case unfolds, every unanswered call and every secret revealed brings us closer to understanding the true cost of keeping hidden lives under wraps. The investigation took a dangerous turn as each new piece of evidence twisted the case into a web of obsession and betrayal. Conflicting testimonies began to reveal a disturbing picture. A family not held together by love, but torn apart by hidden passions and dangerous fixations. The detective, relentless in his pursuit of truth, found himself questioning every word and every gesture. Every statement from those connected to the case now carried the weight of a secret too heavy to bear. At the center of this unraveling tapestry stood the stepson. His behavior grew more erratic with every passing day. Once a quiet observer, he now exhibited flashes of anger and despair. In one heated exchange, a close friend of the family confronted him. "You've been acting out of control," the friend said, voice trembling with both anger and concern. "It's as if you're trying to force something to happen." The stepson's eyes darkened as he replied, "I'm not hiding anything. I'm just trying to make sense of it all." His words were laced with a desperation that hinted at a dangerous fixation, a need that could only be quenched by the truth, no matter how harsh. The detective's investigation warped under the pressure of mounting evidence. As he revisited interviews and rechecked statements, he began to see familiar threads emerging. Every conflicting account, every misplaced clue, pointed toward a single conclusion: someone in this family was caught in the grip of a consuming obsession. And that obsession was taking on a life of its own. The detective recalled a moment from an earlier interview when a colleague had quietly murmured, "You're not just hiding the truth, you're drowning in it." That remark now echoed in his mind, a reminder that the deeper one looked, the darker the secrets became. With time slipping away, the detective knew that every second brought him closer to a breakthrough, or a trap. A critical lead pointed to an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town, where unconfirmed reports suggested a meeting had taken place on a stormy night. Arriving at the desolate structure, the detective felt the weight of the countdown. Every minute counted as he navigated the narrow corridors, the echo of his own footsteps amplifying the tension. In the cold expanse of the warehouse, an unexpected confrontation erupted. The stepson appeared from the shadows, his eyes wild with a mix of determination and desperation. "You think you can uncover everything?" he challenged, his voice sharp and trembling. "You're about to tear this family apart, and I can't let that happen." The detective's response was measured, his tone carrying the burden of all he had learned. Every secret has a way of coming to light, he stated calmly, though the urgency in his words betrayed his inner turmoil. And you're not just hiding the truth, you're drowning in it. The tension between them escalated rapidly, a verbal and emotional standoff that felt as dangerous as any physical confrontation. The chase that followed was chaotic, a series of narrow escapes and rapid turns through the deserted building. The detective's mind raced with thoughts of the hidden truths and the fate of a family on the edge. With every step, he questioned whether the stepson's behavior was driven by a desperate need for recognition or a deeper, more troubling fixation that could lead to irreversible harm. The confrontation left him with more questions than answers, and the unresolved tension fueled a growing sense of urgency. Back at the family home, with fresh clues in hand, the detective returned to a place that once seemed ordinary but now held secrets beyond comprehension. A quiet hallway, filled with memories both cherished and painful, suddenly revealed its hidden depths. Driven by a hunch that the truth was closer than ever, he began a careful search, methodically examining every corner. It was then that he discovered a small, concealed door behind an old bookshelf, a door that led to a room no one knew existed. Inside, the space was filled with disturbing memorabilia. Old photographs, letters soaked in regret, and a collection of personal items that chronicled a long-forgotten chapter of obsession. Each object told a story of hidden passions and unspoken desires that had haunted this family for years. Among the items lay a faded journal with entries detailing a forbidden love and a yearning for acceptance that turned into dangerous fixation. The weight of this discovery pressed on the detective as he pieced together the fragments of a past that had been meticulously hidden away. The revelation raised more questions than it answered. Who had created this hidden sanctuary of secrets, and what drove them to preserve these painful memories? The discovery of the room introduced a new mystery, a countdown of emotions and events that suggested the case was far from over. The detective was left with an unsettling realization: every step closer to the truth only deepened the darkness surrounding the family. With a final glance at the disturbing memorabilia, the detective knew that the next phase of the investigation would force him to confront the very heart of the family's hidden obsession. The case, now filled with even more open loops and unanswered questions, demanded a resolution that seemed just out of reach. And as the night grew darker, the sense of unease only intensified, leaving the audience with a cliffhanger that promised more revelations to come. The detective finds himself trapped in a maze of half-truths and hidden agendas. Every conversation, every piece of evidence, weaves together a tangled web of deceit that challenges his resolve. Reviewing fingerprints, surveillance clips, and overheard whispers, he realizes that the case has grown far beyond what he ever imagined. "I thought I knew where the truth lay," he confesses to a trusted colleague during a brief moment of vulnerability, "but every new clue forces me to question everything I've built my career on." The colleague warns him quietly, "The more you uncover, the more you risk getting pulled into this mess." The detective's response is measured, yet the tension in his voice is unmistakable. In a quiet room cluttered with files and notes, he pieces together a series of events that connect the troubled stepson to a wave of escalating violence. A forensic expert had confirmed that the fingerprints on a weapon, the suspicious footage from a nearby store, and even the fragments of overheard arguments all pointed back to him. Yet, the detective senses something missing, a thread that could unravel the whole story. "I have less than 48 hours to act before the next incident unfolds," he mutters as he reviews the evidence again, the ticking clock echoing in his mind. Each minute that passes adds pressure, and every lead appears to have a deadline of its own. During an intense interview with a family friend, emotions run high. "I saw things that night you wouldn't believe," the friend insists, voice wavering between fear and regret. The stepson was there, but there were other voices too, whispering directions, urging him on. The words hang in the air, leaving the detective to wonder if the troubled youth was merely a pawn in a larger game. The mounting clues force the detective to confront an uncomfortable truth about the family's dark history. Old photographs, hidden messages, and a series of secret meetings now paint a picture of loyalty turned dangerous and betrayals that cut deep. Every lie has a price, he murmurs to himself, the weight of personal demons pressing down on him. The case forces him to revisit his own past, a reminder that his own secrets might be closer than he dares to admit. As evidence converges, the detective receives an unexpected note slipped under his office door. The message is brief yet chilling: time is running out. The next move is already in motion. The note fuels a growing urgency. Who could be orchestrating this dangerous game? That urgency sharpens when a shocking phone call rattles his concentration. A cold voice on the other end warns, "Stop digging, or there will be consequences far worse than you can imagine. You are not the only one pulling these strings." The threat is clear and unnerving, leaving the detective with a racing pulse and a mind full of questions. Who else is involved in this deadly arrangement? Before he can press for details, the line goes silent, plunging him into a moment of stark isolation. The phone call is a final reminder that the case is more complex than a single troubled soul. It suggests that the stepson may be acting under the direction of someone much more dangerous, someone whose identity remains concealed. With every new piece of evidence, the web of deceit tightens around him. The detective is now caught between a desire for justice and the fear of losing himself in a maze of conflicting loyalties and hidden motives. Each fragment of proof, a fingerprint here, a blurred face on a surveillance clip there, nudges him closer to a truth that could shatter the fragile peace of a family and upend the foundations of his own past. As the hours slip away, the countdown to the next violent act looms large. The detective's inner voice is filled with both determination and dread. If I don't act soon, more lives could be destroyed. I must uncover every secret before it's too late. The urgency of his mission is palpable, as he braces himself for a confrontation that promises to expose the depth of betrayal within this case. The investigation now teeters on a knife's edge. Every new revelation, every whispered confession, and every threat creates an open loop that demands to be resolved. The detective knows that with each step, he risks not only his career but also his sanity, as the burden of the truth threatens to overwhelm him. This crime thriller, a true crime investigation into the darkest corners of family secrets, is a journey into a world where every lie has consequences and every truth comes with a price. As the clock continues to tick and the stakes grow ever higher, one question remains: who is truly behind this dangerous web of deceit? Any resemblance to real events is entirely coincidental. At the edge of a fog-shrouded dock, the detective faced the final reckoning. The key players had gathered in the cold night, each carrying the weight of secrets that had unraveled over weeks of relentless investigation. The stepson, eyes burning with a mix of fury and despair, stepped forward. "You think you know everything?" he spat, his voice trembling with a dangerous mix of defiance and sorrow. The detective met his gaze, his voice firm despite the turmoil inside. "I seek the truth, even if it reveals the darkest parts of this family." In the midst of their exchange, the wife emerged from the shadows. Her voice, low and edged with regret, cut through the tension. "Every choice has a cost," she murmured, her tone more resigned than confrontational. "I did what I believed was necessary." Her words hinted at a burden of secrets too heavy to carry alone. Before anyone could respond, a figure from the depths of the case made his presence known, a man whose quiet involvement had been felt in every disturbing clue. "This isn't just about one person's choices," he said softly, almost as if confessing a long-held truth. "It's about a network of betrayal that spans far beyond our family." His statement left a cold question hanging in the air: who else had a stake in this dangerous game? The air grew thick as the detective declared, "It ends tonight." In an instant, chaos erupted. The stepson lunged forward, driven by a twisted mix of anguish and obsession. A struggle broke out, rapid, fierce, and heartbreakingly brief. In the melee, a fatal blow was struck. A shocked bystander later recalled, there was a cry, then silence. The stepson collapsed, the weight of his internal torment made visible in that final, fatal moment. The detective stood there, his heart pounding as the reality of the outcome sank in. "I never wanted it to come to this," he whispered, the words barely audible over the sound of the lapping water. Amid the chaos, a faded note was discovered, carelessly left behind. Its message was chilling: "The truth is deeper than the lies you follow." This cryptic line served as a stark reminder that the case was more complex than anyone had imagined. With the authorities quickly taking control and the murderer of the stepson apprehended, the detective was left with the haunting realization that the case was not closed. The note's message reopened old wounds and raised new questions. Was this act of violence the work of one troubled soul, or had he been manipulated by forces hidden in the background? As the fog thickened and the cold night swallowed the scene, the detective's mind raced. Every piece of evidence, every whispered confession, and every threat now pointed to a larger conspiracy, a web of deceit that stretched further than the boundaries of one family. He was left to wonder if true justice could ever be served when the past refused to let go. This final chapter of our crime investigation leaves us with lingering questions. Who really pulled the strings behind these tragic events? Can a shattered family ever mend, or is the cycle of betrayal doomed to repeat itself? In the world of true crime narratives, every answer seems to lead to another question, inviting viewers to continue searching for the truth long after the final scene fades to black. This fictional account is a work of creative storytelling in a documentary style. Any resemblance to real events is entirely coincidental, and every effort has been made to respect those affected by true tragedies while presenting a suspenseful, engaging narrative. The investigation may have reached its climax, but the questions linger. Every twist, every hidden clue, and every revelation forces us to wonder about the true roots of this deadly obsession. The family's secrets, the detective's relentless pursuit, and the chilling warnings all form a puzzle that still begs for answers. What do you think led to this descent into madness? Comment below and share your theories. Remember to rewatch earlier episodes. Hidden clues and subtle hints now take on new meaning as the full picture emerges. If you found this narrative engaging, please like, share, and subscribe for more episodes that uncover the darkest corners of this story.